How's it going, everyone? It is I, Anime Outlet, and this is part 3 of What If Deku Had Bond's Powers. And now, before we begin, I would just like to ask you all to please put your what if suggestions down in the comments section below. And now, let's begin. I appreciate the offer, Izuku, but... Oh, I'm just kidding, Izuku. Come here, Toga would say, jumping into Izuku's arms, hugging him tightly. Izuku would just say, okay, great. Just looking down at his clock, where he would then see that it was getting late. Alright, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm quite tired after beating Kirishima in that arcade game today. Toga would look at him before laughing, as they would then get into bed before going off to sleep. We cut forward 2 weeks as we now see all of Class 1A walking into the classroom, many of them mumbling and just rumors about how they heard that today was going to be their first hero training, just field trip, and many of them couldn't wait. They were going to be going to some off-site location to learn how to become an even better hero. Everyone was so excited, and the atmosphere in the room, you could just tell that something was off about the day. However, it wasn't like a bad being off, it was good. Everyone just felt so damn excited. So, when Aizawa would walk into the room, would then stare down at all of the excited students. Alright, class, today we are going to be going to a place called the USJ, otherwise known as the Unforeseen Simulation Joint. So, let's go there now. I need all of you to head down into the bus bay. After getting changed into your hero costumes, you'll have 20 minutes to complete this action. You may go. Aizawa would say as all of the students would get up, pushing their chairs back into the desk behind them before rushing off down to the locker rooms to get changed as fast as they possibly could. As we see Izuku getting changed into his just everyday clothes, he would then get into the bus bay since he didn't really take any time to get changed, as everyone else had all these extravagant hero costumes that took over 10 minutes to get into. However, Izuku, this took under a minute for him to do. So as Izuku was sitting on the bus waiting, everyone would slowly end up piling onto the bus as well. As Izuku would be sitting there, the bus would end up traveling out. Tsuyuasu would end up looking over towards Izuku. Hey, Izuku, I have a question for you. Uh-huh. Oh, sure. What's your question, Sue? Izuku would ask. Oh, I was wondering what your quirk is. Everyone else's quirk in here is just pretty obvious, but yours seems to be kind of just strange. I've seen you regenerate, and then I've seen you show just likes of superhuman strength. It really just doesn't make any sense. Well, whether it's a quirk or just some magical power is one thing, but it still kind of confuses me. The way I got this power also confuses me as well. I remember the day after I got it, I ended up having this just mark on the side of my leg. Zuko would say, or side or the bottom of his waist, lifting up his shirt, they would end up seeing just a sign of a fox. Huh. That's quite interesting. Maybe it's some type of just drawback of your quirk, maybe? Yeah, maybe. I mean, the entire just situation where I got my quirk was less than a minute, and how I unlocked it was still kind of strange. Everything about it just doesn't make sense to me at all. Oh, well, okay then, she would say, as the ride would then continue on going with no problems. As the bus would slowly roll into the parking lot of the USJ, and all of the students would pile out of the bus, they would then be greeted by the Hero 13. "Good evening, Class 1A! It's nice to see you all," she would proclaim. "Wait, but isn't it good morning?" Oh, it doesn't matter right now. A little mistake. So, today we are going to be going into the USJ and learning how to survive in different environments, including how to rescue their people in different environments that you may not be able to handle or your quirk may not be able to handle, hopefully building up a tolerance to things like this. 13 would say as they would then walk up the steps, as she would then push open a couple doors where all of Class 1A students would lock in, marveling at the USJ's beauty and size. They couldn't believe how massive it was. Whoa, this place is huge! This is amazing, many of them would say. As all of them would be staring on, Kirishima would then stare down at the fountain. Oh, look at that. They even have an extravagant fountain here, too. What else about this place isn't massive? All of a sudden, however, a purple portal or a purple spiral would start spiraling right in front of this fountain. As Kirishima's eye would be caught by it, he would stare closely at this spiral-looking thing. However, the spiral would quickly double and expand in size, as Kirishima would then point towards it. Wait, do they even have fake villains here too? This place is insane! He would say, as we now see, I saw 113's head jolt towards where Kirishima's hand was pointing, as they would then see a portal open up as villains would start coming out of the portal. Kirishima, those aren't fake villains. They're real. Wait, what? He would say, completely shocked and confused. As Aizawa would then jump down, going to fight villains. 13, stay here, he would say. As he would be jumping down, however, right before he could even reach the bottom of the steps, a giant purple bird monster would end up jumping out of nowhere, punching Aizawa right across the face. Good, Nomu, a striking voice would say from across the USJ, as the Nomu would then rush back to a blue-haired person that seemed to have some sort of thing for hands, having them all around his body. It was quite weird. Kirogiri, separate the UA students. At once, Kirogiri would create a portal under all of Izuku's classmates, including him, separating them throughout the USJ. Izuku would be falling down through the portal before landing in some water. As he would end up swimming to the surface, he would look around as he would end up seeing a bunch of water and aquatic villains swimming towards him just like a fish. However, before anything could happen to him, Izuku would jump out of the water, stepping on one of their heads, propelling them downwards and propelling him forwards, as he would then go up onto a boat. As Izuku now on this boat, he would start looking for any of his other classmates, where he would end up seeing Mineta just in the water. He would end up dangling his staff down as Mineta would end up grabbing it, with Izuku pulling him up. Next, Tsuyu Asui would end up jumping up onto the boat as well. So, it looks like we're surrounded, Izuku would proclaim. Yeah, I can't believe you didn't notice that before this, haven't you? Huh. Izuku would only just rub his forehead like, okay, that kind of didn't make any sense. So, we need to create a plan. But what should we do? So, why don't we explain some of our powers? Mineta, why don't you go first? Oh, well, my power, it's called Pop-Off. I can pop off these grape-like things off of my head. It's a weird power. And Sue, you? Suku would ask. As Tsuyuasui would then explain how she is just all the characteristics of a frog. Alright, and I am quite strong, I can regenerate, and it's pretty much all I can think of right now. So, what should we do? What should we do? What if we move the boat? Izuku asked, as they would then look at him wondering, wait, what do you mean? Hold on, you see something. With Izuku's extensive book knowledge, he would end up having stumbled upon just some sort of sailor's book, so he would end up looking for just the cabin where just the steering wheel, or how to con the boat, or whatever it was, as he would end up finding out where the controls were before he would end up start driving, well, not driving, conning the boat over into just this land, as he would end up running into as many villains as possible, even redirecting himself from land to run into them even more, acting as if it was some sort of video game with a intense smile and grin on his face. However, with how fast Izuku was going, Asui and Mineta would both beg Izuku just to go on land, which Izuku would only say, alright, no problem, where he would then ram the boat right into side of the land, where it would then continue going off of the water and right into a ton of the army of villains, crashing through it, splitting it in half. Oh, hello, Izuku would say, jumping out of the boat. So, which one of you wants to have their skulls smashed in first? He would say, cracking his knuckles. As a bunch of villains would step up, Izuku with his staff in hand would then beat down tons of them, kind of like the Madara fight. So, with that, Izuku would just continue on beating down all of these villains. One of them would rush Izuku, and Izuku would just smash his staff into the backside of their head, as Izuku would then dodge under a kick from another, punching them right in the gut, as Izuku would then dodge a punch before grabbing that person's arm, pulling it forward, and punching him right across the face. As with this, the army would be decimated in seconds with how fast Izuku was moving, and along with his staff, it was just so easy. As all of them now knocked out unconscious, Izuku would be staring face to face with Tomura Shigaraki and the massive bird monster that was the Nomu. Hello, so I presume you're the leader of this event here. Do you mind explaining it to me why you just happened to bring everyone here? I really want to know, Izuku would ask, as Shigaraki would only stare right on at Izuku. Oh, you want to know why I have everyone here? Well, what's it to you? It doesn't matter anyway. I just wanted to kill All Might. That stupid shining symbol of peace haunts my dreams every night. I think about how he's still smiling in this world, Shigaraki would say, as Izuku only just sort of awkwardly laugh. Calm down there, no need to get so angry. Don't want to see that bad side of you, I guess. So, what's gonna happen, Izuku would say, before he would end up being punched right across the face by the Nomu. So he would then fly all the way across the USJ, slamming into one of the buildings in the fire zone. As Izuku would get out of that building, just scraping off all of the dust off of his arms and body. Whoa, that was quite the strong hit of yours. This is gonna be a good fight, Izuku would say before jumping off, propelling himself right on towards the Nomu, as he would begin a head dive right on, slamming his head right into the Nomu's head, as the Nomu would then recoil back from how hard Izuku had hit him, before punching Izuku across the face, and then uppercutting him once more right into the stomach, sending him flying upwards right through the roof of the USJ. This would have caught Toga's eye, as she would end up moving close enough as she would see Izuku was in the middle of the fight with just the Nomu. She would end up crying out for Izuku to get out of there and that he wasn't going to survive. Izuku, you gotta go! You're not gonna survive that thing! It's too powerful! She would beg, however Izuku hadn't heard her. However, some people that did were wondering how she knew the Nomu monster was too powerful. Had she had a run-in before with it? No, that simply wasn't possible. She couldn't have had just a run-in with the Nomu before, as this was the first time any of them were seeing it. So, why did she know about it? Many of them would say, as Shigaraki, someone who heard her, would end up turning around. Oh, Toga, you happen to show your face here. I can't believe it. Can't believe you actually decided to go to UA like you told me just a couple of weeks ago. So, did you finally find a liking towards heroes or something? Did your ideals change within an instant because you just happened to meet someone you fancy? Oh, who cares anymore, Shigaraki would say. This would make many more people, including Izuku, wondering, why was Shigaraki talking like this? Was Toga some sort of agent or spy or the League of Villains? They didn't know anything. Izuku, hearing this, would end up thinking, well, if Toga's a spy, then I'm gonna get lumped in with that too, since I was the one who requested her to join. So you could be thinking that, however, he couldn't linger on that much longer, still in the midst of a fight against this huge, powerful bird monster-looking thing. As Izuku would be fighting it even more, all of the stunned All Mights would end up smashing right through the doors, not smiling for one of the first times ever, as he would then rush towards the Nomu. However, right as he did, he would be punched right across the face by the Umu's arm, sending him flying right out of the USJ right into some trees, as All Might, in a daze, grabbing onto his head. Oh, what the hell? I wasn't expecting to face villains this strong, he would say, holding his head. Izuku's gonna die if he keeps facing that damn thing. I gotta get up. I can't just stay here. My students, they're all gonna die if I just stay here. be weak and give in. All Might would think to himself, getting up as his body would start to shake, his legs wobbling underneath him, not being able to hold him. After that blow right to the head, All Might had a concussion and wasn't going to be able to continue on fighting without getting any more damage that could have consequences of being permanent. So with that, we cut back to see Izuku continue on fighting before Izuku would end up laughing. This is the most fun I've had in a while. So, Nomu, what do you say to continue this fight for just a little bit longer? After saying this, Izuku would rush towards the Nomu, slamming his fist into its beak, shattering the beak instantly, as all behind the Nomu's head would end up just being destroyed, having a crater lying behind. As Shigaraki would look at Izuku's immense power before seeing the Nomu start to regenerate even further, as the Nomu would then begin a flurry of punches right onto the chest of Izuku. However, it seemed like it was doing nothing at all. As Izuku laughing, he would then punch the Nomu in the stomach, causing it to fly upwards a couple of feet, before Izuku would then punch it across the face once, and then twice going the other way. As the Nomu there, having just been punched 3 times so hard that it had never been punched that hard before, would end up screeching out in pain before rushing at Izuku, grabbing him before flipping him over, slamming his head down into the ground. As Izuku would then get up like nothing ever happened, laughing. That's quite the good move of yours. Or he would then grab his staff, twirling it in the air, slamming it into the Nomu's neck, decapitating the Nomu. However, the Nomu's head would then go right back onto its body. So I guess you have sort of regeneration quirk like mine. That's quite interesting. Well, I guess I'll have to give this a try then, Izuku would say, before he would end up staying around just his staff before using Snatch to grab out the Nomu's lungs, causing it to fall down to the ground, as Izuku would drop the massive bird monster-looking lung things. However, the Nomu would end up getting up almost instantly, like nothing had ever happened. It had regenerated just so easily. As Izuku would see this, he would then smile. Now that my theory's been proven correct, I'm gonna have a lot more fun with you, he would say, cracking his fingers for another time, rushing towards the Nomu before punching him right on his right side, completely destroying it. As he would then regenerate, Izuku would punch its left side, destroying it as well. Shigaraki, seeing this, would start scratching his neck violently. How could this be? How could some random kid from nowhere that he hasn't even heard of be able to kill a Nomu? Something that's been designed to defeat All Might even in his prime. This just doesn't make any sense, Shigaraki would think to himself, as the skin would start peeling off of his neck from him scratching it so hard. As Izuku would end up seeing this, not paying attention to the Nomu, would be punched right in the neck, as Izuku would then jump backwards, holding his neck in pain. Whoa, calm down there. That's the fastest punch you've punched all day. Where were those punches a minute ago? Izuku would say before diving in head first right back into the fight, slamming both of his fists right into the Nomu's head. We cut back to see Toka, who had started crying, just wanting Izuku to stop, and having her secret just being blown by Shigaraki. However, Izuku just didn't seem to care. He continued on his fight like nothing ever happened. As this would be happening, she would end up just shaking off her tears before rushing off to go help some of her classmates. As though she would end up throwing out one of her just blood-sucking devices, as it would then grab a hold of Shigaraki. And with this grabbing hold of Shigaraki, she would then rush in, punching Shigaraki right across the face after turning into him. Nomu, kill that imposter, she would say in a perfect mimic of Shigaraki's voice, as she would be then pointing right at the real Shigaraki. Almost instantly, the Nomu's head would violently turn right towards the fake Shigaraki before turning towards the real one, as it would then rush towards the real one, punching it right in the stomach before grabbing the real Shigaraki's face and slamming it into the ground, gliding Shigaraki's face into the ground, making him eat the concrete beneath him. As this would be happening, Toga's quirk would then wear off. She would then say, "Oh, oops, you didn't see me," she would say before disappearing into all of the rubble. As the Nomu after realizing this, would then look down at the real Shigaraki, who had been just beaten half to death already, as Nomu would then drop it before walking backwards. Whoa, you almost managed to kill your own boss. It's quite a low point for you, isn't it? He would say as the Nomu turned towards him before Zuku, using Snatch, would then snatch out the Nomu's heart. As without any blood pumping, the Nomu's quirks couldn't work, as the Nomu would then fall down to the ground, just not being able to do anything. I'll just go ahead and put this right back, Zuku would say, throwing it back right at the Nomu, who, trying to put the heart back in, it would prove useless. As with that, we now see Zuku walking towards the lifeless Nomu body, just wondering, so I guess he did give out. So, Shigaraki. Oh, you're trying to leave, Zuku would say, looking on towards Shigaraki, who was leaving through one of Kirogiri's portals. Well, since you're leaving so soon, I guess I'll decide to take a souvenir from you, he would say, using his Snatch ability to grab onto Shigaraki's arm, pulling it right off of the socket, before yanking it right back to him. Oh, sweet. I got the whole arm this time, Zuko would say, dropping it right by the Nomu. Here you go, buddy. You can have this. I'll let you keep it, as just a little keepsake, Zuko would say before rushing off to go help some of his other classmates, as we now see Zuko running around before he would end up finding Ashido badly beaten with a villain standing right over her. You're lucky I don't have an even more powerful strength quirk, or else you'd already be dead, they would say. However, before they could do anything, Zuko would grab the top of their head, slamming it down into the background behind them. Whoa, man, calm down. No need to put this girl at death's door already. You don't even met her. How do you know she deserves to die that so soon, Zuko would ask the villain. However, the villain would shake his head. Oh, so another fake hero wants to join in on getting her crap beaten out of them, he would say before rushing towards Zuko. However, Zuko would dodge their attack. So calm down, man, calm down. You're gonna need to speed up quite a lot if you wish to hit me, Zuko would say before dodging all of the rapid punches of this villain, before Zuko would then grab this villain's neck, pulling it tightly to him. Come on, man. You gotta try harder than that, Zuko would say, picking up the villain completely off the ground and throwing him right into a building behind, as the villain now falling down to the ground, completely unconscious. Zuko would grab Mina, the wounded and unconscious, as he would end up walking, where he would end up finding Kirishima in the midst of a villain attack, whereas Zuko would end up kicking the villain with Mina in hand before handing Mina over to Kirishima. Kirishima, get Mina out of here. She's badly injured. I'll take care of these villains, alright? I'll cover you, Zuko would say, as Kirishima would say, alright, thanks, Zuko, before rushing out of the USJ, as he would then see All Might shakily get up, grabbing onto his phone before calling just UA security and ambulances to get over to the USJ almost immediately. After about a 5-minute wait, the ambulances and police cars would end up pulling up with all of the heroes there. After All Might's just worried call, Nezu had gotten worried and decided to send almost the entire UA staff and security over there, and Nezu's worrying was right, as he sees Izuku beating up many villains right in the front, protecting some of his injured students as Momo was tending to them, creating bandages to wrap around them. As Izuku would be doing this, the heroes would end up jumping in, as Midnight would end up using her quirk to just knock out everybody. However, it strangely just didn't work on Izuku for some odd reason. So with that, we now see Izuku walking back over towards all of the heroes. This was quite an anomaly. I don't understand how this were to happen, Zuko would say. Yeah, I don't understand how they could have broken into the UA. This just doesn't make any sense. We cut forward for 3 hours as we then see Zuko walking into Recovery Girl's office. Knock knock, Zuko would say, knocking his finger to some wood. How you doing, Mina? I'm sorry I couldn't have saved you sooner. I was busy, toying with a bird monster. It sounds hard to believe, but it's true, Zuko would say. Oh, it's fine, Izuku, don't worry about it. I'm still alive and kicking today, so who really cares? It's not like I have any permanent damage at all. Well, I guess you're right there, Zuko would say as Kirishima would end up walking in as well. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, Mina, he would say. Come on, Kirishima, no need to be so rough on yourself. It just wasn't the manly thing to do to let you get hurt like that. Kirishima, stop being so stupid, I told you it's fine. It was my own fault for getting into a fight with such a strong villain after all. So, anyway, who's the arcade? She'd end up laughing, as Recovery Girl would end up poking her head into the room. That's not happening again. I have a couple guards at the door now, so don't think about sneaking out this time, Mina. It was only a joke, Recovery Girl. No need to be so harsh, she would say, rubbing the back of her neck. Well, I gotta get going. I'll see you later, Zuko would say before walking out of the Recovery Girl's office, where he would then see Nezu waiting for him. Zuko, I got a question for you. Look, I know this took quite a while, but you don't have a place to stay, do you? Nezu. You were at my one-room studio apartment. No, I don't have a house. It's just a hut made out of mud, leaves, and sticks. So, where are you going with this? You about to brag about how you have this massive school or something? Oh, no. I actually wanted to ask you if you wanted to move into the UA dorms. I know how you don't have any parents and all, so I just decided to ask you just face to face. Oh, that would actually be quite cool. I'd actually have a roof over my head for the first time in 7 years. So you're building UA dorms, huh? I'm guessing it's after the USJ event. Yeah. I don't want anything like that to happen again, so I'm ramping up security. Plus all of the bad publicity already is killing UA's reputation. So, I gotta do something about it. Yeah, I don't blame you. It is really bad in the media so far today. I saw it on the news when I was walking past the cafeteria on one of the TVs. Well, I guess it's settled then. You move in tomorrow. Wait, hold up, tomorrow? But there's not even buildings, built anywhere. Well, I've already had cement come in and start building all of the buildings. They actually should be ready in 3 hours if you just want to hang around and come in. And just live there, I guess. I'll supply you with some furniture since I know you don't have any, just belongings. Do that, or if you just bring in a mud bed or something. Oh, yeah, sure. That's cool. Well, I'll see you in 3 hours, Izuku would say. As Izuku would end up walking back to his hut where Toga was, where he would end up explaining to her the situation. Wait, really? That's awesome! She would exclaim, fully happy that they were finally going to move into a real house and have a real roof over their head. As Izuku would end up looking through all of his belongings, he would end up grabbing just the massive, just books that he had, many of them that weren't ruined, having Izuku had to bury them after putting them into a stolen box that he had. So with that, Izuku would then grab his most prized possession, his potato alarm clock. As Izuku, holding this in all of its glory, would end up safely moving it over towards UA, moving it so slowly that the 3 hours had already passed. And so when Izuku walked into the UA dorms and he found Nezu sitting there, Nezu would end up looking down at his watch. Izuku, you're 3 hours late. How could you I saw you 6 hours ago. How could you manage to be this late? Oh, my bad, Nezu. I was carrying this, Izuku would say, holding up his alarm clock with a potato, having just all the power from the alarm clock plugged into the potato. It was quite strange. Alright, your room's on the 5th floor on the left. It's room 17A. Izuku would nod his head before walking up to the room, excitedly rushing over there, where he would end up tripping and falling as the potato would end up falling down to the ground, where Toga, who was already there in the hallway, would end up catching it. That almost end badly, didn't it? As Zuko would end up opening up the room, as he would end up seeing that it was fully furnished, as Zuko would end up hopping onto the bed. Oh, this feels so good. Finally able to sleep on a real bed for the first time in years. Well, I guess it's time to go to sleep. Good night, Toga, Zuko would say before just completely collapsing to the bed, falling asleep almost instantly. As we now see Toga just... Jeez. Guess he was tired after walking for 6 hours with that damn potato all day. She would... sighing. As Zuko would end up getting up early in the morning before staring down Kirishima on one of the UA newly built just gym and training areas. So Kirishima, let's begin this 1v1. And that is where part 3 of What If Deku Had Bond's Powers comes to an end. I hope you all did enjoy it, and if you did, please consider subscribing as it really does help this channel out, and you can even be notified when the other parts of this series do end up coming out. I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye.